Pomarolli. Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Micaiah Young. I'm your host, and we have a special guest with us on here today. And if I'm saying this right, it's Kerri Pomarolli.
You got it
Is
right.
that right?
Pomarolli. I always tell
Okay.
people like ravioli.
Ravioli. Okay. I'll remember that then because I'm always hungry all the time.
Me too.
Um, and I'll think about that on the days that I'm fasting as well, like ravioli. But that's really cool, and I'm honored to have you on here, and very thankful. Our first Christian comedian on here, and I'm sure you probably travel weekly, don't you?
I'm getting ready. I was just literally packing before the podcast. I'm going to Michigan tomorrow at 5
Golly,
a.m.
that is crazy.
Now,
Okay,
where
I
are
don't know
you
how you
again?
do it.
What state are you in?
We're in Texas.
Oh, I remembered that. I remember. Yeah, I go to Texas often. Texas keeps me employed. I love Texas.
Oh, okay. Well, sweet. I love it. Well, we'll have to keep updated whenever you come back here because
Okay.
that would be super cool. Um, so, what I was gonna ask, I was gonna ask you, what is your favorite place you've ever traveled? Because if you're traveling weekly,
Uh,
is there a favorite state that you love
Bucky's.
going to?
Bucky's. Hello, Bucky's.
Oh, the gas station. Okay, yeah, true. My bad.
I mean, where are you going to get all the animals in Noah's Ark that are jerky? Like every animal that has ever been
That's
created
true.
by God is at Bucky's. No, I feel like Bucky's is quite an experience. So I try to go every time I
Yes.
go to your part of the country.
Golly, I can't. So for me, Bucky's is hard because I get overwhelmed by people easily. Now, I don't know if you're extroverted and you're like, "Oh, people, this is awesome." But
Yeah.
for me, I get overwhelmed and I'm like, "This is just way too
Oh,
much for
I
a
don't.
gas
Yeah,
station."
I don't care. My car actually broke down one time and it pulled into a Bucky's parking lot. I was like, "Well, I have 2 hours to kill." But yeah, it's kind of like a theme park for people that like to buy swag, But I am very grateful. I'm actually on my way to somewhere awesome. I'm going to Africa in June with my daughter. And I've been to Africa once before. And so I'll be in Zambia, South Africa in June. And I'm very much looking forward to that. We're going for a mission. So not stand up comedy this time, but very grateful that I get to travel like I do.
That is a blessing. Well, I'm sure even with you though, in all your conversations, you're coming out in conversations. So it's I'm sure the comedy's still there,
We'll
even if
see.
you're not on the stage.
Well,
Well,
it is
yeah, we'll see.
funny if you picture me in Africa raking leaves and building houses. I typically is not my natural jam to be out in the hot sun, but God has a sense of humor, so it'll be fun. And I'm going with my 17-year-old daughter, so you know that that's stand-up comedy, like right there.
Oh, that's true. You're gonna have a lot of stories
Yeah,
for
for
whenever you
sure.
travel. That's what you're going for is the stories. That's we're all piecing this thing together. That is awesome. So, how did you get into comedy? I know. So, I've seen you on Dry Bar Comedy. I'm assuming. I don't know if that's a Christian comedy
It's
place or if
actually
that's just a
Mormon, isn't it funny? And by the way, so
really.
on the term Christian comedian, like that really has a lot of connotations.
Yeah.
I'm a comedian and I'm Christian.
Okay.
So, but a
Yeah.
lot of people say, and I don't mind it, but I do secular, I do clubs,
Right.
but I am forefront with my faith. But I was in Hollywood and I was doing improv comedy with Second City and the Groundlings, places where like Will Ferrell and people like that were there. And I just chose to do stand up so I could write my own material because at that point in my life, I
Mm,
really wanted to be clean. And it didn't start out as anything Christian. It was just being a clean comedian and then
yeah.
evolved into a ministry. So,
That is so cool. I love that. So, is So, like, can you take us back to the first time of you? Because I'm trying to think in my brain. I'm trying to think of the questions I want to ask because I know we're limited on time, but there's so many questions I want to ask at the same time. But can you take us back to the first time of performing and what's that's like? Because I
oh
know
my
for
gosh, I
me,
remember it like it was
yeah,
yesterday. I was at the Hollywood Improv, and the Hollywood Improv is where Chris Rock and Adam Sandler and Robin Williams and like all those people. And I had been at the Hollywood Improv before that night, and I was sitting at a table, and like Robin Williams was sitting at my table. That's how crazy that place is. And I was comic
hmm,
number like 23, and I'm just pacing, going, God, you got me into this. You could get me out. Like they're not going to laugh at me. And it was all
yeah,
God. Like he was like, just get out there and be funny. And I was, and I really felt like I got a bug. Like, you just try something and you're like, this is
yeah,
addicting. And you either love it or hate it. The adrenaline rush is crazy. And from that day forward, I things just started happening. I was, just promoted by the Lord, open doors, open doors. A year later, I was professionally doing stand-up comedy. Like 1 year later, like almost full time maybe. I'm not sure, but it was pretty fast.
Wow, that is so cool. So where do you get most of your material from? So I know if you talked about how you enjoy writing your own material.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
is
you
that just
have to.
come from life experiences, or like how does that even come into play? How
Yeah,
you
I
do
mean,
all that?
look, life is funny. Like, look at RFK, right? RFK, he's taking all my childhood candy, and I just talk about it on stage about how, like, like we're never gonna have Apple Jacks. It's just gonna be Jacks. There's no fruity pebbles. It's just pebbles. Like, and I joke a lot about, tariffs. Like, please don't tariff China. I love Timu, and like, just things in my life. Like,
Yeah,
I joke about how like Amazon charges money, but Timu's like spin the wheel, it's free. So, or like my kids, or life, or what I think pickleball. Pickleball is like ridiculous. And I just love to make fun of people that play pickleball. So, like things that, I just think they're elitist. I think they're not really playing a sport. They're just standing there with like a ping pong paddle. But a comedian will take something that is kind of funny and hopefully make it really funny by
yeah.
exaggeration and storytelling. And life is just funny. Life is just funny.
I agree. I agree. So how did you shift your mindset? Because a lot of people, or were you always born with it? Because a lot of people normally think more towards the negative, so they don't see the funniness of life, if you
Oh, I
will, if that
definitely
makes
was
sense to you.
definitely was born into a funny family. Definitely, used it as a coping mechanism. I went to a school in Michigan, but we were close to the city of Detroit, kind of an urban, community, and I went to this little tiny private school, and they would bus in these, like, urban kids, and they had no filter on their mouth. So in, like, 2nd grade, we were, like, doing rap battles, 2nd grade, like, doing these crazy your mama jokes, and, like, this
Yeah.
is a Christian school, but I think it's definitely a coping mechanism to deal with things humorously. You know, I don't think you become a comedian because you have a normal childhood. I definitely fought with kids on the playground quite a bit, but you either take it to the negative or you take it to the positive.
Mm, It's always a choice, I feel like, every day because your mind always takes you to some crazy places. But if you just have some control over it, the godly way and just thinking on right things, because there's so many awesome things to think about. Life is beautiful, life is funny, and just trying to veer your mind that way. I think that's great. That's
And
why I've
I
always
also
loved
think
comedians.
it's a spiritual battle. You have something good happen to
Yeah.
you, and the enemy comes and and tries to
Mm,
kill that. It was three things that are bad. You know what I mean? And you have that
mm,
choice to go, but wait a minute, this day is not lost. Something really good happened. So I'm gonna try to focus on that good thing, and I will get through those other things. But it's,
mm,
we're in a Frank Peretti novel. If you don't know who Frank Peretti is, Google him. But he wrote a book called Piercing the Darkness, and he talks about the battle that we're in all the time between good and evil.
mm,
Above us, we're just the little humans walking around Earth, but above us, we're in a battle. So yeah, your mind is a battlefield.
mm, mm. Well, I know there's probably people listening to this even today that are dealing with that. And the thing that I would challenge listeners to do as they're listening to this is look at the fun parts of life and experiencing that. And I would say write out your own script for the fun things that are happening around you. Not in the sense that they're standing up and they're doing a sketch or anything, but like start writing out the fun things that are happening in your life because it's all about perspective. There's things happening in your life you're just not noticing them.
And also,
I would say.
what are the rules of comedy? Comedy comes from pain. Comedy does not come
Mm,
from fun. Comedy comes from being angry, being frustrated. You can't have a comedy show where the comic's like, my life is so great. If you think about Kevin Hart and Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle, they kind of have a rant style. Like I'm like, I hate tariffs. I'm joking, but I hate tariffs. Please don't tariff China. I need my shoes from Timu. Or like, I hate having teenage daughters. We only don't fight when they're sleeping. So it's like I think about things that frustrate me,
mm.
and being a Gen X and raising like Gen Z kids, and they make fun of me for being a Gen X. And like when I leave a voicemail at the doctor's office, I leave my phone number. And my daughter's like, "You're being ridiculous." I'm like, they don't know my number. She's like, they have caller ID. So we have this whole fight about how I do things. versus how, and they're wimps. I mean, they're total wimps. Like, we're Gen X, we were playing in the woods, we were running from the cops, and my kids are like, I don't know how to order, mom. Like, I don't know how to order at the restaurant. I'm like, you're gonna run the country. Like, you're gonna run the country and you can't take out the trash. So, it's just like frustration. So something really bad can be happening, like really bad. And then a year later, I could be talking about it and be like finding the humor in the situation. Uh,
Mm.
that is frustrating at the most.
Interesting. So it's not that you're just specifically looking for the good, but it's
No,
like you're
no.
making something that's bad into
Yeah, I
into
never
something
look for
good.
the good. I just evolves. Like, I mean, like, life is frustrating, and I think comics being frustrated are speaking for the world. When I say
Mm,
I think that we're raising the wimpiest bunch of kids in America today, like, the audience claps their hands because all the parents out there are like, "Yes, we are," and so it's just funny, and I try to include the audience in that. Like, I'll be like,
mm,
"Boomers, we need you." There's people in my audience that are 50 and over. There's people in their 30s and 40s. There's people in their 20s. So I'll be like, boomers, we're the Gen X. We need you to help us raise the Gen Zs. And so I include them in the
mm,
frustration. So a good
mm,
comedian is going to speak to somebody who's 18 or 80.
mm. I like that. I like that a lot. So is in all your time of doing comedy, is there ever been a joke that didn't land with your audience that you're like, I don't that there or has one always landed? Has there
Oh,
ever
God,
been one where you're
no,
like,
no, oh my gosh. No, we fail all the time. I mean, I try
okay,
stuff now that I think is funny. Like, I'm evolving into this joke. I am obsessed with Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders reality show. I love them. I watch them and you're from Texas, right? So
mhm,
Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders is close to Jesus, and I joke and I said it's harder for a rich man to get through the eye of a needle than to become a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. And so I'm evolving this joke. And there's some parts of it that don't land if I'm not in Texas. Like, if I say thunder and I'm like, I know I could do it. Only if I'm in like Texas or Arizona did they really get that reference. So I mean, I'm working it out. So it may not
mm,
land hard, but there's some jokes that just land immediately when I say, you know what churches are doing wrong today? They're putting pickleball courts in the parking lot. Immediately people understand that. And I have to evolve into more jokes about that. And I'm like, well, pickleball people are elitist. They all have iPhones. They make fun of us Android people and blah, blah, blah. And then it becomes a joke about pickleball people and drinking LaCroix soda. And so I'm just trying to find the things, these are new, that people relate to. It's only going to be funny
yeah,
if they get it, and if there's
yeah,
pickleball people in the audience, they're going to get it. If I do a joke
mm.
and I'm like, churches are putting pickleball and nobody really gets that, I just move on and I go to another subject.
Okay, so it doesn't bother you that people didn't get it. It's not
They
like, oh,
normally
they
do.
were
I have about a 90% track record these days, but that's because 'cause I've been doing it a long time.
experience,
And I
and
call
I'm
my
sure you've
friends.
gotten
I call them on the phone. I'll be like, "Do you think this is funny?"
mm.
You know?
Yeah, just testing it out beforehand. Okay, that makes sense. So
And
has
I
your
was
confidence
married to a stand-up comedian, and he's in my house, like,
oh,
7 days a week. We're not married anymore, but I always ask him, we both got phone updates overnight on the same day. You know when your phone doesn't
mm,
update? You know how,
mm,
like, software, like your cell phone? Do you know what I'm talking about?
yeah,
And you
I
wake
believe in
and
them.
Ron's like, "I went to bed with someone I know intimately, and I woke up with a stranger," because your phone just jacks up all your apps, right? And so we were just talking about that, both of us, and what we call that is riffing. We're, like, riffing on why that's horrible because, you get used to your phone being a certain way, and you wake up and they've, like, made all your apps vertical and horizontal, and you can't navigate your phone. So I'm like, "That's not a joke yet, but it's something that we chat about," and I'm like, "I think I'll try it and
Mm,
see what I can make out of that."
okay. So does he still travel too, like, currently, or is that just one
Yeah,
time?
and
Okay.
we're actually doing a show together next week and then another show in Dallas, August 20th. It's weird. We're divorced and we've been divorced 11 years and I didn't expect to tour with him or really want to tour with him and not like we're touring, but we used to. We used to tour together. And I was like, when we got divorced, I'm like, we're going to be scarlet letter. The church is, I'm going to lose my job. I didn't. The church is very gracious. We all have hard things in our life. But there's
Mm,
churches that are like, we think you guys are funny. Like we think you're uh, enlightening to those people that are sitting out there that haven't had the perfect marriage and the perfect kids and the perfect life. Um, we're pretty
Mm.
raw. So I can't believe it, but we're actually doing like churches, couple.
That's crazy. But that's cool how God can take something that you're like, man, this is a hard thing in our life, and turn it around and make it for good.
I
Because
mean,
you're just
I
trying to
would
please
hope
Him.
I would hope that you'd be sitting out in an audience and you'd see us and you wouldn't be like, "Oh, I don't wanna see them because 'cause they're divorced." Like, we're not I hope that we're just funny and we're not trying to preach at you. We're just saying
Yeah.
God can make lemonade out of lemons.
Mm. Mm. That's always the perspective we should have, because you there's always going to be the people that are always looking at, like you said, the negative and the this and that, but we're all just trying to grow and be better and be more like Christ, and we all face hard things, and
Yeah,
so
and
I just think it's
50%
crazy.
of those sitting out in a church, if not more, have been divorced.
Yeah.
Facts. Sad
Yeah.
facts.
That's true. And something I was talking about with someone yesterday is the people who preach the hardest against, like, people that have went through stuff like that normally are the people that end up facing it themselves, because they're just like just not having a lot of mercy. And I'm not saying, like,
No,
you're
no, no, I mean,
justifying
yeah, we
all the
don't
things in the
condone
world,
divorce.
but
We don't
yeah,
condone divorce. I don't condone divorce. It happened.
yeah,
There were life circumstances that made that necessary. But, I'm not worthless. I'm not unusable
absolutely,
to the kingdom of God. And that's what I think a lot
absolutely.
of churches make you feel. Oh, you have a past, you have a history, you're not worthy to serve, and that's just the lie that we want to
Mm.
combat.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad you have victory over those kinds of things. Then you're being used in a great way, and I think that's so awesome. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to go see you in person one day. But has there ever been a performance like where you've had a comedy that it was just like you have a memorable feedback, or something memorable happened
Oh my
at
gosh.
a
Yeah.
comedy event?
Well, I do comedy in churches and I do ministry, and so God may just at the end of my message have me pray. And I have had so many in Michigan last fall. I was praying on stage after this women's conference, and God, He'll just tell me something, and I'm like, oh gosh, I sound so stupid saying this, but I'll say it. And I'm like, somebody's hand is getting like healed. God's healing your hand and you play the piano. And there was this woman, and she was the worship leader at the church, but she wasn't able to play the piano because she got her hand bitten by like a dog. And in that moment, her hand got healed. So, like, that was
Hmm.
rad. That was like, I have that happen all the time. Like, that, not maybe that specific, but like, there was a girl in one of my shows in Texas, and she came into the show with a heart condition. And by the time she left, it was healed. Like, that happens beyond me. So
Hmm.
that's the kind of stuff. And yes, I love comedy moments and all that, but praying for people, administering to people, like that's the jam.
Mm. Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's just all about people, right? Not just about, let me just try to see what I can get, but you're about, like, I want to make people laugh. I
I
want to
mean,
encourage people.
I have selfish motives. Like sometimes I'll go with guys, right? And they'll make me go first, maybe because I'm the younger or whatever. I had a show like that last Saturday with a much more senior comic than me. And he's been doing it a lot longer. I respect him. And I was like, I got to slay, man. I brought my A game. I was like, I want to make it's kind of a joke between comics. Like, I want to make it hard to follow me, And so I was
Mm.
really
Yeah.
pushing my game up to its A level. Just because
Mm.
I'm not saying I'm looked down as a woman. It's sometimes there's a thought, oh, is she really funny? And so I want to earn their respect, and I hope I did
Mm.
that. So that part was fun. I'm like, okay, game on, let's go. So yeah, so that's fun.
A competitive
A
edge,
little
if you
bit
will.
friendly the boys and their testosterone for sure.
Yeah, that's what it is. Well, I know that's the way it is for me too. Like, if I'm doing something, like, I want it to be like just top level. I don't want it to be just mediocre, or any of those things. So I love that you have the same mindset as well.
Well,
Is there
my first manager, his name is Bone. He's from Texas. He's a comedian. He's like, be undeniably funny. Be undeniably funny. If you only have 5 minutes of comedy, make that 5 minutes undeniable. No one can say you're not funny. So that's what I
mm,
always shoot for is to be undeniably funny.
hmm. So what's your favorite joke that you've told, that that's it's just like your favorite joke? Do you have one, or is there
Yeah.
one that a joke that
Well, right now I like talking about politics because um Like, I always joke, like, I always start my show with, "I'm not here to be offensive. I'm not here to, like, divide, but who'd you guys vote for?" And then I'll be like, "Who's vaccinated? Please stand up." And then if I'm in Texas, I'm like, "I know you guys don't know what vaccinated is." So I like making fun of the obvious things of, like, "I know you guys didn't have a pandemic." So I like joking about the things that are culturally appropriate to that particular audience. If I'm doing a really liberal San Francisco crowd, blah blah blah. But I like joking about Gen X. I love being a Gen X and I love making fun of wimpy kids today and how like our parents were like, you died, walk it off. Like put some duct tape on it, Vicks vapor rub, like walk it off. And these kids are so coddled. So I have fun making fun of my own children and how completely like helicopter, like I'm like on the playground, they have video cameras on the kids' playground, and our teachers were behind the school smoking cigarettes. Like they didn't care about us at recess. It was like survival. So those
Yeah.
I like to tell jokes that I think are funny. You know what I mean? That like
Mm.
give me joy.
Well, I'm sure if it doesn't give you joy, it's not gonna give someone else if it's
Well,
like
I think it's funny. I think these kids are
yeah.
wimpy. So, like, like I was joking about water and there's stupid little water cups, those Stanley water cups that cost like $40 and they're like
Mhm.
water bottles. And like, I'm in Stanley. I was like, we didn't drink water. I didn't have water till I was 25. Like, we drank Tang, we drank high C grape juice. Like, we didn't have like a water cup, like, like we drink
Yeah.
red juice, right? So, just this silliness of life today.
So how do your kids react to all this? Do they like,
Oh,
"Oh,
they're
your
like,
my mom's a psychopath," or
no, and then the older one's like, "Well, that's how mommy pays the mortgage." But my older one used to come on stage with me, and now she's 17 and she's like, would die. And then the younger one comes on tour with me, sometimes Ruby, and she loves the attention. And she'll come up and tell a couple jokes or she'll talk at the end of my set. So she's still like cool with me, but they'll always go, "Mom, you're so embarrassing. Mom, you're so embarrassing." And then like with them, I make sure that I don't say anything that they wouldn't. Half my stuff
Mm,
is just sort of exaggerated grand gestures. It's not like
mm,
Lucy went to the store today and met a boy. So I always say, like I was talking about kids being wimpy, and Lucy's like, "Are you talking about me?" I'm like, "I'm talking about your whole generation. This is not just about you, Lucy. This is about anyone under 18." So
mm.
she's okay as long as I'm not like pointing out her secret stuff, which I threaten to
Yeah.
do if they're in trouble.
That's true. You always have an outlet if anything ever went wrong. I love that because if they can deal with like you getting on them like that, they can deal with anything in the
Oh,
world
we
if
have
they
a
can deal
lot
with it.
of laughter and sarcasm. Sometimes I'm like, if you recorded my parenting, I might go to jail. I'm just so sarcastic. I'm the worst, and I'm super Christian. I love Jesus, but I like drop her off at prom. I'm like, don't get pregnant. And just like we're so inappropriate. But I'm like, I gotta just be real. Like I want my kids to be real with me. I don't want there to be off limit topics. I just hope that I can't make anything so off limits that we can't talk about it, you know?
Mm, mm. So what's next for your? Because I know we got to wrap up because you've got an
Oh, yeah, I
appointment to
have
get
about
to. But
7 more minutes, so we can talk.
okay,
I'm on tour. My Spotify special just came out. It's on Apple iTunes. It's on, platforms all over. It came out last week. It's called Things I Can't Say Out Loud. Um, very excited about that. That's a brand new material. Oh, I know what I'm very excited about. I have a new comedy series, and it's called Real Housewives of the Bible. And like Real Housewives of New York and Real Housewives of
hmm,
LA, those reality shows. We're
hmm,
doing characters from the Bible, like Mary and Martha and like the disciples' mother, and they're all like these Italian, Jewish, New York women. So we're
mm,
playing all the different characters. And if you go to Real Housewives of the Bible Instagram, Real Housewives of the Bible Facebook, I mean, it's like Mary and Martha go to Costco and they're shopping for Jesus before he comes over for dinner. And we're having a
mm.
blast. They're really fun.
That is super. So you're just recording those right
Yeah,
now,
my
or
friend Noelle. Yeah. Like, they're very
okay?
funny. Like, we have a group called Mothers of Disciples Anonymous, and they're very like, so my friend my son Judas, he was buying me a lot of gold. I don't know where the money's coming from. And so we just make fun of like, the disciples. You can watch it. It's up right now. It's on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok and YouTube. And they're little shorts. And I really hope
Hmm.
people will go and enjoy them because they're really, really funny.
That is, oh yeah, that is really cool. We'll definitely have to check that out. So if I was to check out, you were talking about your comedy special. If I was to go on Spotify, all I'd have to do is just search.
My name,
Um,
Kerri Pomarolli.
okay, and I probably need to put in the under the where people will know how to spell it because I have a
K-E
name.
they can put in KERRIPOM and it should start to come up. I have a lot
Okay,
of specials on Spotify. I think I have 4. But I'm on Spotify, I'm on Apple, iTunes, I'm on, you know, all the
okay,
platforms.
that is super
And I'm on
cool. So
tour.
is there?
Now, I know you're not near Dallas. What part? You're outside, like, you're on the other side.
So we're an hour north of Austin,
Yeah,
Texas.
yeah, yeah. Okay. So next time I come to Austin, but I'm on tour a lot. So people can come see me or call me and I do, corporate and church and fundraisers. I do a lot of
Yeah,
pro-life. I
that's
love doing pro-life events.
that is awesome. Yeah, well, we'll definitely have to keep that in mind, and I look forward to being able to listen to this as well. Is there anything like final? Because I know we have about 4 minutes or so. Is there anything that you would want to say to our audience of maybe something you've thought about lately, or something that would help someone, or just maybe something we didn't hit on that you just wanted to talk about at all? Is there anything like that at all?
Just in the vein of like life, um, that we always feel like I'm writing a book. My new book is called God, Please Stop Laughing at Me. And it's about and it's called The Comic's Journey in the Murky Middle. And I feel like if you're 25, you feel like you're in the murky middle. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm 25. I'm not married yet. And when I'm married, it's all going to be different. It's, like, and when I'm married, but I don't have kids yet. When it's kids, it's all going to be better. It's all going to be better. And then when I have kids, when they get older, it's all going to be better. And I think what we do is we miss it completely. It's better
Mm,
now. You're in it now. Life is
mm,
good now. Don't miss the now in our poor planning for tomorrow. Like the Bible says, don't worry about tomorrow. And I know we do have problems today. We do. But also we have moments. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, summer's here. I got to get all I can in summer and then fall. I'm already thinking about fall. Like, what about just thinking about Wednesday? Like
mm,
Wednesday is here. Where can I have those moments with my kids? Where can I be intentional with my friendships? Where do I not need to put my time? You know what I mean? Like
mm,
that's really big. Where do I not need to be spending my time that I am spending my like where's the time suck? Like how many tiny house videos did I watch today on Instagram? Like really, like do the pie chart of your life. Do the pie
mm,
chart of 24 hours. It is enlightening. Write down, 2 hours here, 3 hours here, Bible, 4 minutes, whatever that day looked
mm,
like for you. It is
mm,
enlightening. But I just think as summer approaches and, we're all in different stages of our life, like, don't miss it. I don't want you to look back and be like, I love my 20s. They were the best time ever. And you spent your whole 20s worrying,
mm.
because like we don't want
Mm.
to miss it because now is great.
That's
Now is
true.
great.
That's true. And I heard a quote one time. It's faith and fear are both believing in an outcome that has not yet happened.
Oh, that's
So
big.
why not just choose faith? Because you're investigating this whole case for fear, and then you could be investigating a case for faith, and we
And
spend
like
so much time worried.
some of my best prayers are just like, God, you heard that, right? God, you heard that, and then I need to be done. Like
Mm,
I throw my hands up in the air and I'm like, I think I'm done. I think I'm done because I
mm,
miscalculated the situation, mismanaged the situation. You saw the wrong that was done to me. You saw what the devil's trying to do or whatever. I'm done.
mm,
I tap out. So many of my prayers are like,
mm,
tap out. And the other thing I think is so important is like sometimes we do have really hard circumstances, hard. And I
mm,
had a family member that's going through some medical stuff. And we didn't get the test results. And I didn't want to go to Bible study. I didn't want to go to Bible study and sit at Bible study. So I went shopping. And God was like, great, you should. Like, he wasn't like, I can't believe you didn't go to Bible study. I'm like, Lord, I just need to walk around TJ Maxx right now. Maybe I'll go to the Dollar Tree. I don't know. But I'm tapped out. There's no shame in that. Like, you know what I mean? We're just so legalistic in what God is
yeah.
thinking about us. And God's just like, go buy
Mm,
a pillow, whatever you need to do. This is a hard day for you. Like,
yeah.
would I shame my kid who just got like a terrible news or terrible, would I shame them to be like, you have to go to soccer practice, or if you don't, like, you're bad? It's just, I think God is so much
Yeah.
more graceful than we give him credit for. So that
Mm,
whole tap out theory sometimes, it never
mm,
lasts long, but sometimes we just need to be in a space of breathing and, like, letting
mm.
ourselves process what we're going through.
I love that because I've actually been talking about that a lot lately because, like in Galatians, because the emphasis is so much on what are you doing? Why aren't you doing this law? Why aren't you doing? And it's really you're just learning to be led by the Spirit of God and not just all this. There's no condemnation to them that are in Christ Jesus. Like, why are you beating yourself up so much? You have liberty in Christ,
And
and what you
and
said is, I love it.
And finding the people that fill your cup, finding the people that are
Mm,
healthy, finding the people that are good. It's not a lot of people. It is not a gang, okay? Like, it's like investing in those people that when you pick up the phone to call them, that they're good for you. You know what I mean? Like
mm,
that's a small circle, but that's a healthy circle. I'm trying to even teach
mm,
my kids that at a young age. You don't have to have a million friends, but just the people that are in engaging, encouraging. You know what I mean?
mm,
So,
mm,
if I could tell my younger self something, I would have been like, cut the fat a lot sooner in who you're
mm,
engaging with.
mm. Because that makes a huge difference on your whole life. I mean, if you're looking back and you're saying that, I just wish we would get it. The crazy thing is, you say that to your kids because you experience that, and then they don't do it. Then they wait till they're older and say, "Hey, kids, don't do that." And then it's just a constant like. But if we would just literally just listen to the people who've had that experience and say, "Okay, if they're all saying this." Let me just say, okay, that must be true, and I'm going to follow that. But a lot of us have to experience the craziness
Oh,
first before
yeah.
we
Try
actually.
telling a teenager anything. Try telling them any wisdom. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I just gave you life. Okay. I'm sorry. I know nothing. Like, you do you. You figure it out. I know nothing. I just try to make your life better, but you do you.
Exactly, exactly. Man, that's a great perspective, and thank you for sharing all that. I mean, not only about the comedy and everything, but just about the real life stuff as well that we actually deal with, because that's stuff we need to talk about more. Um,
Absolutely.
a- and I'm honored that you would come on. I know we hit 32 minutes. You
Oh,
got your
no, it's
appointment. I
fine,
want
it's
to.
fine, but I hope you'll go watch my show, Real Housewives of the Bible. Give it some love, follow our pages. We're just starting it out, we're excited.
That's awesome. Well, I'll definitely put all your stuff in the link down
Okay,
below as well,
cool.
and we'll definitely try to get this out to people
Awesome,
as
and I hope
well.
I'll
Thank
see
you
you
so
in
much.
Austin one day.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds like a plan. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate
Oh,
it.
sure, sure. Are we still recording? I just wanna say thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for all that are watching. And please share this with someone. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.